So today I'll be talking mostly about the episode 4 or the lecture 4. That's the convergence hits the clinic. I mean, it's, it's what's the update, the latest updates in the field. So let me start with like what are the things that we'll be focusing today. It will be regulator data, clinicians workspace, EHRCDS, spatial plus MRD, foundation models, and wet lab look. So if we look back for a minute, and what we see that in 2020 to 2023 there was an AlphaFold 2 was one of the pioneer by Google DeepMind. Then the different versions of GPT started. Early one or two foundation model was in there. There wasn't much. But in 2024 to 2025 till last year, there was a lot of healthcare integration started as a pilot basis. Now, in the current year, we're seeing a different picture from the regulator to the people like us, the clinicians, immunologists, licensed researcher. Everyone is focusing on integrating AI from the genomics perspective to the agentic systems. A lot of them, if you look at my last episodes, I was talking about Amazon AWS, the different companies presentations, how they are integrating and autonomously doing these things that we are focusing on. So those are the things happening right now. So I will just go through all these slides in a very quick fashion. So let's go. The 6 things that we want to talk today, the focused on, FDA has inaugurated the ELSA version 4 plus Hello. Then we have clinicians AI plus validation, Anthropic acquisition of Coefficient, the idea of $1 billion company, ACR 2026 retrospective, like what are the things that was done and relevance of AI in the ACR conference, the upcoming ASCO and EHA conferences. Those will be a huge addition to the area of clinical and research area. Then hematologistic. So let's go one by one. First, FDA ELSA 4 plus Hello. So what we'll do, that ELSA is setting up the whole the artificial intelligence or agentic AI on top of the FDA rules and regulations. So how it is working with the latest FDA ELSA 4 plus Hello for the clinical trials. So if we go to the FDM, so Hello stand for Harmonized AI and Life Cycle Operation for Data. So they're saying that according to the FDM, also for a significant upgrade to the agency's internal AI tool for everyone from scientific reviewers to investigator. So it has 40 disparate application and submission source. So in overall review that 40 plus submission source into Hello and FedRep High, which is a global cloud platform for the high baseline of government most sensitive and unclassified data in cloud environment, which works with Google Cloud. Also will be available to all the stuff in FDA, and there will be a huge number of scientists will be onboarded with NextGov and FCW. So in what the ELSA 4 added up in there in the FDA is that the customs agents, document generation, quantitative analysis and visualization, secure web data search, voice to text or OCR, which has been on the market in terms of the text reading for some time, and then large data repository search. And what Halo changed over the time, it's a unified regulatory data substrate right now for the staff in FDA to get through everything they require by agentic large language models to query and find the things that's required. Now, if we go to the FDA trial pilot, what it has is the trial EDC e-source, then secure data feed, then Halo substrate, and ELSA agentic layer, which leads to the reviewer decisions and everything. So it's a combination of AI and the AI review as well as human review to combine the speed and accuracy of the entire FDA task. So the not only the FDA itself is doing even the ELSA plus Halo, that's if you go to the EMA or European Union, it has the AI Act and EMA reflection. Japan has PMDA, AI Operations Plan, and ICHR Global Head has M15 mid, which does kind of a at different levels of it, but eventually everyone is getting on board to integrate the agentic large language models to evaluate and accelerate the process of drug review and other tasks. Now the next section comes to the clinicians AI and validation. So the idea is that a model can be safe in a clinician's workspace and unsafe as a consumer triage tool. Validation must match deployment. That's the core of this. So how it works, like the OpenAI ChatGPT have inaugurated the clinicians, the ChatGPT for clinicians, which is a healthcare large language models, and they have certain conversation, which is 6,924 conversations, and they claimed based on that 99.6% of it is accurate, and it performs or outperforms the physicians who are practicing currently right now. But I will take this with a huge caveat, because this is a trial, it's a pilot basis work, not the real time the clinicians output, and there are a lot more complexity throughout the process. So this is good as a fancy title, but it's not real time applicable. The I would say, like, clinicians grade LLMs are entering production workflow. The next question is not capability, but deployment specificity, specific safety, liability, and evaluation. So all the hype that's been made is good, but we need to be more careful and check it very, very cautiously. Does it really meet the standard? The next is clinical AI safety benchmark, consumer versus physician facing failure mode. The idea of emergency under triage by ChatGPT Health versus open evidence, and it's saying ChatGPT Health is 51.6% accurate, and non-urgent it's ChatGPT Health is 64.8%, but open evidence is 68%. These are kind of like very uh, evaluating areas, I would say. Even the uh, ChatGPT Health, if you go through it, Nature Medicine stress test, it had 51% true emergency under triage, but still, I would say there could be a many more variation in there. On the other hand, Open Evidence, which has just fantastic review paper, yeah, sorry, the preprint, open evidence metrics trail. So this is the April 24th, the preprint in Madrax IB, and they have the open evidence errors on the safe side in a structured test of triage recommendation. This is these are this is kind of a more reasonable and well checked rather than I would go on the terms of the ChatGPT health, because it shows that it's in a non-urgent triage it works good. But clinicians, one that is, I think the ChatGPT clinicians need more of a training and work to be on the performance that's expected in there. There is a paper from Mount Sinai which say that AI models probably need a little bit more of a training and optimization till it's go into the clinical practice or assist in there, which I agree, but every paper has its own way of output, so I would just welcome to read it. Now, the next part is the clinicians facing AI race, what each platform is optimizing for. So if you go to the OpenAI, with the ChatGPT, so they are looking for the clinicians workspace plus health bench. The Anthropic is going into healthcare, life science, and Coefficient. Coefficient is a company that has been acquired. The OpenAI also have launched the Resonant, which is going for life science, so it should be added in here. The Google had MedGamma, Alpha Genome, and DeepMind. The Microsoft has Dragon, Copilot, and EHR, Depth, and Amazon Health, Omics, Biodiscovery, and a lot more platform. So the platform where it's not about the chatbot US, it's about who controls evidence retrieval, EHR replacement, regulatory workflow, biological models, and a wet lab feedback. Now, there is an idea that's been floating over the some time. That's the $1 billion company. The coefficient is by the time I think it was around $400 billion. That's the Anthropic acquired it for. It had approximately coefficient had around 9 employees, if I'm that wrong. So it's like the AI is facilitating the people to use and generate and build the companies those have real-time applications. So the Anthropic is actually working in a very focused manner. If I remember, is the Anthropic founder Delio. He had in his bachelor he has something with the biology. I think it's a structural biology or something like that, and he likes biology. So I have been advocating for it for like a couple of years. I think 5 6 years. That's for the all these machine learning models. Then later on the LLMs for getting into more into the life science. So the Anthropic has quite a plan. They are working with foundation models with the Cloud Opus and Sonnet model, which gets the long context reasoning. Even if you are using the CLI or command line interface, you can use up to 1 million in there. And agentic workflow, enterprise workflow, life science workflow, they have Cloud Life Science, which has been doing fantastic work. And healthcare workflow, they have CPAP products provider pairs and a lot of things. And therapeutics talent. So coefficient, they have acquisition, they have recruited people from Genentech and other companies to focus on life science. And as I stated earlier, that's probably the healthcare will be the most revenue generating area for large language model companies. On the from moving from the big companies to the real-time science, like we had this AACR, it's an American Association for Clinical Cancer Research. So there was a lot of work that's been discussed into the area of ASCR 2026, focusing on artificial intelligence and large language models. There had been a lot. I'm not going in details of them, but they have mm, a kind of a things that focused on AI, like AI revolution in cancer research. There were a lot of abstracts in there. Digital pathology was one of the major things. Multimodal biomarker discovery, AI pathology, spatial architecture, then a lot of work around the involvement of artificial intelligence and large language models to the area of the omics, multiomics, and pathology, and getting output out of that. Now, when we are talking about the multiomics or genomics, then this comes to the company name called Tempus AI. I think, what's his name? The guy name Ron Alpha. Uh, yeah, Ron Alpha. He's with the Noetic AI. Noetic is doing great job. Tempus AI was one of the company that started focusing on this. And as much I am aware, many companies, including the pharmaceutical companies, are sending their sample for sequencing into the Tempus and getting the data back. But that's not the point. The company Tempus AI is doing, if you look at their Q1 report, which was probably out of imagination or wild imagination some time ago, it's released on May 5th. And if you look at the revenue have up 36.1% yet over year, 348.1 million. So you can see 348.1 million Q1 revenue, 36.1% yet to year, and MRD volume is 500% up. Data and apps revenue, that's a very important point, 40.5%. So that's a huge up from there. Then 28% diagnostic volumes increase, and they have increased. It's going up to billion. So no, I don't know how many people could have thought about that we can do the AI and genomics integration and turn out a genomics company into the billion-dollar company. That was unimaginable, and now it's the reality. Look at this. Look at this report in here. Now, the next phase is the ASCO is coming. So, the ASCO 2026 will be very interesting from May 29th to June 2. It's in Chicago, Illinois, and there will be a lot of, including our group and others, there will be a lot of abstracts that will talk in there. It's moreover into the clinical trials. There are a couple of them in here that's listed. From the Proteus one, ADT, and then we have the SARC, we have Harmony, Resolate, um, then IHA 2026. There will be front end DLVC plenary. There will be mutant CalR targeting antibodies. I think this will be probably with what's the name, Batsida group, or let me just check it. It's with the Insight. So this is mutant CalR on CD34 reduce their BAF variant allele frequency, inhibit JAK state pathway, and helps to cure out the myelofibrosis. There will be clonal target MPN arc. There will be next MPN mechanisms. I work on this area, so that's why I'm asked to add this up. But that's one of the point. The point in here is the overall point in here is the hematology stake in terms of artificial intelligence quite increasing. It's like if we go to the MPN, this is just MPN context. I probably add up a lot of this. This is the rusfertide for PB, bomedemstat for ETMF, INCA1, killer mutant one that we are talking serenexor, that's for XP1 inhibitor. plus oxidative combination, naptomidine, medlin, it's in there. It's a HDM2, MDM2 inhibitor probably. Mm, helps in P53 functions. But that's one point. The point or the focus of our one, I can give a separate lecture on that. Hematology or oncology AI and multiomic. And there are a couple of papers in here. So there are I was showing earlier the Medrax open evidence triage. That's a very important paper. There are a couple of the work that's about spatial biology integration. In the AML context and in use of AI, and there are a couple of examples in here. I mean, there is quite a bit of work that's getting done, and a lot of paper are coming nowadays. So that foundation and spatial omics, if you get it together, from the last one that we had alpha Janum, we have BABU2, Gen former version 2, Hayes niche formal, cell llama, mission based CRD. Those things are working for better in here. Now, if you are going those models, how they are integrating with the companies and how they are doing it. And so to that context, if you see the AI drug discovery and how it is good recursion, there is this company, I think Najat was in the recursion at some stage. I don't know now her name. Right here. Uh, yeah, she is the CEO of the president of the recursion. So recursion has been doing fantastic from the very beginning. So it's a they are trying to do a lot of things around the AI integration into the clinical validation and other things. In silico medicine, they are working some fantastic work. NVIDIA Bionamo plus Eli Lilly, that's a $1 billion agreement with Michael First and the who is leading from the Eli Lilly and NVIDIA together for wet lab integration, beta Robins, and agentic AI with wet lab, as well as the drug discovery in AI area and overall accelerating the process of it. And then isomorphic labs. So isomorphic lab actually last pharmadil and alphafold lineage. Isomorphic had a huge, if I am right, like isomorphic lab has a huge new funding session. Yeah, it's like $1 billion probably, if I remember it right. That happened yesterday. Yeah, so lab secures $2.1 billion funding. That was like yesterday. So 2.1 billion of second external funding round by Thrive Capital. So Isomorphic Lab is doing fantastic things, and they are working very well with this. Then you have a lot of Chaya, Citron, Genesis, Schrodinger. They are using AI all across the places. So at the end of the day, when people are asking, okay, why we are not using in clinical reality all of these things, that because that we need to go through all these things. We need for the clinical application is not as a one-way step. It's more of like integration across the places, and you need to check everything step by step from the EHR to the patient, a lot of checkpoints and many things. So we can't do overnight. It takes some time. So we are finally, if we take away from these convergence window from here, that we have regulators are becoming AI native. Clinical AI is not deployment specific, and if people are working on this, I wouldn't say it's still say it's applicable right now, but it will take some time. AI labs are buying biology, that is true, and hematology is the best proof field at some extent, I would say. And validation, bottleneck, and opportunity, and this is what will accelerate eventually the use of it. And these are a couple of the references I have in here. And finally, thank you everyone for watching it, and I'm happy to answer any question. Just shoot me an email or just call me or whatever you want. I'm happy to discuss any context. Take care.